Alright, Magic Players, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us, and if you're just tuning in, thanks for tuning in. We are going into our round 4 of the TCS Rocket Series, the final qualifying tournament for our top 16 finals happening on the 23rd, later this month. Once again, my name is Zach Miles.
I'm Jovetti.
And we got some cool looking decks here. So we got kind of a familiar deck for Modern. Nick on the left here playing some Living End. Cycling a bunch of cool creatures and then cascading into Living End to bring them all back. And we got Alfredo on the right playing something sweet.
He's playing, calling it Scam Shadow. So he's playing the Scam package like we saw in Brian's deck last match. Not Dead After All. It's got Grief. Got Orcish Bowmasters, Doffy Voidwalker. Then he's got a Death, like kind of a spicy Death Shadow package. On 4 of Death Shadow, 2 Scourge of the Skyclaves, 3 Inti Seneschal of the Sun. It's got a Croxa, 4 Street Wraith, and he's on a Teamer Battle Rage.
Yeah, so super spicy. Definitely dig it. We'll see how it goes into... I mean, it's kind of funny that now both decks get to play Street Wraith.
Yes.
So he can cycle his own Street Wraiths to bring them back with
A bit more
Living
risk on Nick's end.
Yeah.
With the Living Ends there.
End. Yeah, so it's like, you know, and then also now that he knows that Nick is on Living End, he can really focus on reducing his own life total, because now he can literally play Death Shadows into it dies immediately and then it just comes back later.
Yes. There's like so many like weird layers with playing Death Shadows in this matchup.
It's so good.
And then like pre-Fury ban, when Scam was the most popular deck in the format, being on Doffy Voidwalkers, which Alfredo has 2 in his hand,
Jeez,
is rough for the Living End player.
yes. Yeah, definitely difficult.
Nick's hand got Shardless Agent, 2 Shardless Agent, a Violent Outburst, I think it's a Fetch Land,
Yeah, fetch land of some sort.
Odawara, and a
Force Negation.
Force Negation.
Yeah, so we'll see. Fredo keeping his. He was on Double Douthy, Fatal Push, Ragavan, and that's a Bloodstained Mire. He's getting a Blood Crypt and just playing.
And then Nick's list for Living End is what you would expect for Living End. 4 of a lot of the common cycling creatures, 4 Grief, 3 Subtlety. Got a main deck Endurance, and he's on a Hedge Maze as the blue-green Surveil land, and a Thundering Falls as the red-blue Surveil land.
Nice. Yeah, so definitely the Surveyor Land's really having a good showing here. Cards have definitely been really overperforming here, so which is great for turn 1 for Nick here, is being able to fetch into that tap land. He doesn't have a 1-mana cycler in hand, so that works out just fine for him. Hitting his Subtlety. I'm not casting that. And this kind of also, this is actually a good situation for Nick too, because I has no idea what he's on. Like, he plays a Misty Rainforest for turn, and then he hits a Subtlety. It's like, oh, is he playing Rhinos? Is he playing
Murktide?
Like, is he playing Domain? Like, you know, there could be so many different options of what he's playing.
Fredo cracking that Verdant Catacombs down to 16.
Yeah, I think we'll see maybe a Douthy here. I mean,
Most likely.
yeah, luckily Douthy's good against most of those matchups.
Shocking down to 14 for Alfredo, getting ready to
Oh, yeah.
drop some Death Shadows into play.
Why does my opponent keep... That's shocking. That's so much damage.
It's always one of the things on the other side of the table where you're wondering, like, are there basics in hand?
Yeah.
Are they... does not run basics?
Yeah.
Are they actually on Shadow?
Yeah, right? Sometimes that's just all it needs.
Yeah, just dropping the Doffy.
Thinking here, fetch. You can maybe in response fetch.
Assuming Nick will fetch in response.
Yeah, I mean, he does have Subtlety. Subtleting here isn't too bad. I mean, he does have triple Cascaders, so pitching the Shardless Agent in order to Subtlety. So he's going to fetch in response. Maybe they can Surveil Land here, get a little bit of extra info before you decide what to do. There's not a whole lot. Not really a whole lot of answers that Nick has against this, right? I mean, he gets to... He could Living End it away. But besides that, that's pretty much it. So
Nick does have the Street Wraith in hand, which he could cycle right now just to get into the graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah, and then which deck you're playing is very obvious at that point. He's going to Surveil.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to Bennett a Grief.
Graveyard.
Okay. That is also a good indication for Alfredo what Nick is playing here. Still thinking, yeah, he's going to Subtlety it. Probably going to fetch. Is he thinking about the Force Negation here? No, it's getting rid of the Charlotte's Agent. I like the Charlotte's Agent instead.
I agree. Yeah, he's got a second one.
Yeah. And a Violent Outburst, so he's got the goods. So let's just see. Gonna go
Second
turn here.
Ragavan in hand.
It'll Wake the Waves. That's a good cycler here. It gives him a little bit more options to draw his land. I mean, he does still have Street Wraith, so it's not like a huge deal because he gets an extra draw. But just in case there's no lands in the top two, if that was a normal cycler, it'd be a little unfortunate.
Yes, and it's also just if Alfredo just taps out for another Dothy Voidwalker, Nick can do his cycling in response.
Yeah.
Discard that Waker of Waves, set up his graveyard, living in the next turn, and
Yeah.
most likely lock it up from that point.
There's the Misty. It's a land that Nick probably would have liked. Because I know a lot of the times these decks don't run a whole lot of mana, so sometimes you can get stuck on 2 if you can't find that third land. Yep, we see Douthie coming back. In response, Waker of Waves. Oh, okay, you're playing Limit. There's no other deck to play.
Yeah, that absolutely gives it away. I think Nick
sweet.
did find the land there.
Yes, he did. There's a Misty there, so definitely going to want to keep that and putting another Waker of Waves in the yard and then cycling a Street Wraith. Just get some more dudes in the yard. Because, I mean, next turn he'll be able to Living End, and then the game's probably just over from there, right? Like, 2 Waker Waves, a Subtlety, a Grief, and then a Street Wraith. So pretty good amount of damage.
Yeah, that's going to push damage fast, and the Waker Wave is going to shrink the other side.
Yeah.
Ragavan does nothing.
Yeah.
Dothy hits for 1.
Yeah. They won't even be on the board.
Yeah, there's no creatures.
It's like, oh,
Nick plays another from hand. Like, he can
yeah.
block with his 0/1 Ragavan.
Yeah.
Buy a bit of time.
It's like, sure. Alright, so it looks like he drew an Architects of Will. Let's play Misty. They can just go for it.
Oh, Pokemon player said it's time.
Yeah, looks like he's might be going for this turn here. You can do like the little bit of a getcha with the do it during your turn.
Yes.
Like see if I can get another creature from you. Wait to attack with both, so you wouldn't be able to Subtlety. But it's mostly irrelevant.
I feel like in this matchup, because even though Nick doesn't know for sure that Alfredo's on anything outside of the traditional like scam deck, like I think it's still pretty safe to assume there's no counter spells. There's not going to be like anything weird that's going to mess with us at this point.
Yeah. Okay, he's
Nick's
just gonna
just
run it out here
dropping
now.
dropping the Shardless Agent.
He's gonna respond.
Alfredo fatal pushing his own Dothy for
I like that.
Yep.
You have to keep your dude.
Reasonable.
All right.
The fatal push is kind of a dead card in this matchup anyway.
Yeah.
The creatures are all
Huge.
almost all huge.
Yeah. I mean, it triggers Revolt and kills Grief.
Yeah, you can kill Grief or
And Charlotte's Agent with Revolt.
or
a
Curator
Subtlety.
Mysteries. Like you can hit a few things, but like anything that's gonna kill you really fast, it's not going to.
Yeah.
And it also like it'll take out 1 creature, and there's still 5 others in play. At this
Yeah.
point. So I really like Alfredo's heads up play of hitting his own Dothy to get that.
Yeah, and he's gonna switch out his creatures
Yes,
too.
Yes, should be switching out his own creatures.
I think he just might be scooping it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's...
Oh yeah, he's griefing him. Okay, that's what I was like.
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah,
forgot. He's
we're dropping the
I
Grief.
was like, it's just showing him like, yeah, I got these, I guess.
Did swap the Ragavan and the Voidwalker from the Living End.
I mean, probably just take the other Douthie.
I'd assume so, because
Yeah.
the Ragavan's not
Ragavan
doing
an
anything.
0-1.
Yeah, it's a 0/1.
And it's a plant. It is a good old plant token.
All right.
Take the other
Pokemon
Douthie.
player,
Because that works out here too,
Mary
because he can
for the
also
fourth
Living
time
End now.
around.
You took the Ragavan. It looks like.
Okay. Okay, interesting. He's going to put his own Charlotte's Agent back on top. This is kind of like a safeguard here, because Alfredo could cast Living End off of Douthie. put other cards back. I mean, he also has a force here. You know, Ray does not know that, unfortunately. So Nick is looking pretty good here. He's feeling probably sweet about this. So
Yeah, just gives that little extra layer of security just in case Alfredo can punch through that force negation.
Yeah. Ooh, Alfredo did draw Thoughtseize though. So thinking maybe pitch off Thoughtseize here. Is he gonna cast this first? He's gonna cast it first.
Going for it.
Yeah.
Nick pitching Architects of Will to force of negation his own living in.
Yeah. He's gonna pass. Yeah. Going on to game 2.
There we go.
All right, so let's take a look at sideboards here. So we got Nick here. He's got a Bone Crusher Giant, a Brazen Borrower, 2 Dampening Matrixes, 3 Endurance, 2 Mystical Disputes, 2 Force of Vigors, 2 Foundation Breakers, a Mind Collapse, and a Subtlety. So we can probably Subtlety. Mind Collapse is pretty solid in this. Pick off some early creatures. I mean, so far what he's seen from Alfredo's deck is literally just Scam. He hasn't seen any of the Death's Shadow part of his deck, so he doesn't know he's on anything like that. I don't think that changes too much. I mean, maybe versus bringing in Brazen Borrowers. And then he's got the 3 Endurances, which are also pretty solid. For Alfredo's side, he's got 3 Lineland of the Voids, 2 Chalice of the Voids, 2 Magus of the Moons, 2 Legion's Ends, 2 Incendiary Explosives, a Sheltered Edict, a Cursed Totem, a Bone Crusher Giant, and also a Molten Collapse. So I think Leyland of the Void's pretty good against this graveyard-based deck, so we're probably going to see all 3 of those come in, along with the Chalice of the Voids. Those typically are going to be specifically geared towards killing these Cascade decks into 0 drops. So probably thinking about that, maybe switching away from Croxa. It's not really too good in a matchup when your opponent wants a bunch of creatures in the yard. Same with bolts and the pushes that we were talking about earlier. He has a single fatal push in the main, probably coming out here. It doesn't kill anything in the deck, really, so don't really do that. He just get that sweet line that we saw earlier with killing his own Dalthy so that he could bring it back afterwards. So see how they want to sideboard here. Fredo's got some sweet sleeves there, Ricky and Lucy. Maybe his cute doggos, so always nice to see some cool and unique sleeves. And then thanks for everybody for hanging out with us, watching some Magic. Make sure you stop by on the 23rd for the top 16 of these tournaments. We got a couple of players who are like right on the line. You can check out the standings both on the tcsrockets website as well as the Facebook page, so you can check those out if you're curious to see where is everybody at. So definitely keep looking for that. It'll be a ton of fun. I will be here, so hopefully you guys come and hang out with me. And then we got the Fishbowl also coming up next week. Fishbowl number 3. If you play some CDH, definitely come on down and play it. The games are always super sweet. And if you check out the Facebook page, there's the sweet limited mat that they're doing. The playmat looks awesome. I'm a big fan of it. I might just buy one myself, even though I'm not playing, because it just looks so cool. So definitely check that out. It'll be a load of fun. They usually are. Nice, good, long tournaments, too. So you get plenty of sweet Magic content to hang out and to watch. So it looks like Nick bringing in Endurances. No, he's not bringing those in. All right, so he's not bringing in Endurances. Oh, no, he is. Okay, I was a little confused there. I thought it was his deck box. They're bringing in the Endurances and the Foundation Breakers. It's an interesting one. Maybe he's looking to hit Fables. Or he's looking to hit the Living Ends that Alfredo is almost assuredly putting in against this Living End deck. So we'll see if Alfredo can start off with a Leyline of the Void. Get these players shuffled up. Cool. There's lots of good time in between sideboarding here to kind of, take a breather. Thinking about their sideboarding options. And it's typically pretty hard to see exactly what they're sideboarding since, the camera isn't, again, angled in such a way to see from behind them to see their cards. So just making best assumptions that we can with the knowledge that we've got. Fredo ready, rearing to go. Nick's just finishing shuffling up here so we can get this underway. We're going to have 2 more rounds after this. And if you look, we got the points at the top. So we got Nick at 3-0 right now and Fredo at 2-1. For Nick, this is essentially kind of winning it in a way, because he could, if he wins this round, then he can double draw into the top 8. And Alfredo is pretty close to that same spot. He would probably have to play one more round. With it being 6 rounds, it always makes it really difficult for any sort of like 4 and 2 player to get in, because a lot of the higher seed players will typically just double draw in the top 8, take out 5 or 6 spots, and then, you know, there's going to be a smattering of X and 1 players or X 1 and 1 players that are going to take the remainder slots. So you see Alfredo here, Verdant, there's a Douthie, Not Dead After All, the Street Wraith, Death Shadow. Oh, and he's got the ley line. There we go. That's what you love to see in the open air. Nick sitting on Charlotte Station, Street Wraith, Force, Waker Waves. Is that a island?
I think it's an island.
Yeah, Violent Outburst, and then the Foundation Breaker.
Alfredo
really wanting
starting the pregame action.
Yeah.
before they fully resolve mulligans.
He was too excited to slam that ley line.
Slam that ley line. Make sure it's not stuck in hand and forget to put it in play.
I am ready to play this card, please. They're kind of thinking here, this is definitely a rough keep. I mean, he's going to be on the draw. Any land essentially turns this hand on, right? Because you'll get Street Wraith, you'll have Foundation Breaker to pick up this ley line that Alfred is going to put in play for 1. So
Nick decided to keep.
Nick's keeping, sweet. Yeah, any grief or Thoughtseize from Alfredo in the next 2 turns is going to be really great. Like drawing a Thoughtseize here.
Nick just found the land.
Oh,
Nick
easy.
is good to go.
Yeah. Just what he needed.
Alfredo
Cycle 3 Street Wraith. Nick is, wait a minute, what? What is going on? Right, that's going to be
drawing an
Inti.
Inti's a card that I completely undervalued when I saw it in spoiler the first few weeks it was out, and I've seen it played in a few decks. And the card's great. It does so much.
Oh yeah,
it does so much.
Super sweet.
It's really, really interesting. Something with Shadow, which a lot of them has trouble pushing through blockers.
Yeah,
you can fuels your draws, also put stuff in your graveyard in the living room matchup, which is nice, and just gives your Shadow trample.
Yeah,
so
just makes your Shadow huge.
There's a lot of really good choice in this deck.
Okay. Let's see, probably fetch Shock here into the Douthie.
Aggressively putting his life open.
Yeah, just doubling up on graveyard hate effects, which I definitely do not mind. You kind of got to make Nick have an answer for everything that you're doing before he's able to kind of win the game. So, let's see here. Let's get a slide of Douthie.
In play, which stops Nick from being able to evoke the Foundation Breaker and try to set up for a living in the turn after. So now he's got 2 pieces of interaction to fight through.
Here. We're just fetching here. It's
Assume
fine.
Cycle
He's gonna
is a
cycle
Wraith at this
Street
point.
Wraiths.
Which I guess doesn't matter, because it keeps it out of... Even then... Nick gets the choice because he's got 2 replacement effects.
Yeah.
It's going to go under the Void counter or just in exile.
Yeah.
So it's ending up in exile either way, but...
Yeah. I mean, typically you just obviously do the effect that does not matter. you do the ley line of the Void, so it's just permanently exiled. On the off chance that Alfredo decides he wants to cast a Street Wraith. It looks like they're not decided to do it that way.
Like putting them under the Void counters.
Yeah. Which is fine. That is a very little known thing.
Yes,
a lot of people
absolutely.
don't really realize, like, this isn't like a time-based thing. This isn't like anything regarding that. It is 2 conflicting replacement effects in which you can choose as the person who is being the affected permanent or affected object. But that's fine. If they want to do it that way, then that's totally fine. I think it's pretty minimal right now. Not really relevant. I think Alfredo wants just Douthie on the board.
Yeah, it stops stuff from hitting the graveyard, and that's what he cares about.
That's what he wants. He doesn't care about anything else.
After
Plus,
that,
even then, like, he's going to get to Inti next turn, and Inti with Voidwalker seems
4 there.
gross.
Yeah.
Seems absolutely disgusting. Like, Trample, I don't even care about Trample at all. I'm just going to continue to turn my guy sideways.
Big unblockable creature.
Okay, let's see what he's thinking here. Thinking leave it for us. He's going to leave Foundation Breaker for now.
I think that's the right move.
Yeah.
You can use Waker of Waves to maybe try and dig. You just sort of respond to what's going on. Yeah, the double graveyard hate from Alfredo's side is making things rough for Nick.
Definitely brutal, especially with it being Douthie specifically as well. Because, I mean, Nick's bringing in Foundation Breaker specifically for Leyland, essentially.
Yes.
And Alfredo's answers, Nick's answers for the Douthie are essentially, see what he's got.
Maybe an Otawara? It's usually around.
Yeah, he's got the Otawara, if he brought in Bone Crusher / Brazen Borrower, Mind Collapse.
There's a Death Shadow from
And then that's
Alfredo's
like
side.
Ooh.
Putting a 4/4 into play.
Alright. Inty.
Nick fully aware now that Alfredo was not just playing
Yeah.
regular scam.
Yeah. Like, oh, okay. Like, that's kind of neat. Yes, and then now Alfredo's in the kind of a good... Okay, he's going to leave 2 mana up here.
And looks like he's not attacking, I think.
Yeah.
In the Waker of Waves.
It's a Oliphant and
Force of
a
Negation, it looks like,
Force of Vigor.
Force of Vigor, apologies.
Yeah.
Green Force.
Yeah. Don't really like Force here. I think Oliphant's probably better.
I agree. I
Yeah.
think Nick is still stuck on lands right now.
Yeah. Like, he needs another land, and then he already has an answer to Leyline. So Force of Vigor doesn't really matter here.
Yeah, I agree. I also can't imagine Alfredo wanting to pay 4 mana for another land to play. If you draw
Yeah,
one at
that's
this point in
that's
the
a
game.
lot.
Like they're just gonna get pitched to Inti or
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
wherever else. It's
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So he's just going to pitch the Force, which is totally reasonable. He's going to go to his turn. I'm going to draw. It's a generous Ent. It's easy to tell because of the scroll borders. They are very obviously Lord of the Rings cards.
big perk of the unique printings that we're getting for a lot of cards.
Okay, so now, thinking here, he's going to pay 1. Who's cycling here? He's got Oliphant and Ent, so he's got either. I mean, I think essentially both of these are the same in this situation.
It's most likely going for probably a Steam Vent, maybe a Stomping Ground.
Yeah.
Needs to get the Forest, and then probably wants a red source just to fix mana.
Oh, yeah. All right, he's gonna
Grab
go
the
for
Stomping
Stomping Ground. It definitely makes sense. Want to have that red for later on. Maybe she shock plus. No, he's just gonna play Lance turn. What? Maybe. Big.
And maybe not playing the land. Shock into 50.
Yeah, shock 50. Yeah, the other thing that kind of I've seen a lot with Living In too is when there's like just multiple hate pieces on the board. You don't really have a whole lot of answers to stuff. You can just kind of play your creatures. You just start aggressively playing
game
lands.
plan from Living In.
Yeah, because as soon as you get to like 5 or 6, then you just start playing creatures constantly. Like, oh, this is going to be pretty good here. Thinking you can force it. I mean, he's sitting on Outburst plus Charlotte's Agent. He doesn't have another. He doesn't have any answer to Douthie in his hand. Otherwise, I could see forcing this.
The one thing that could be worth forcing is just to stop Alfredo from getting an Oliphant into play.
That's true.
Off of the Douthie, because they've been resolving the cards all under the void counter.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think he still wants to do that because Nick could still like untap and in theory go like Street Wraith, cycle a card, cascade, bring 3 dudes back, all your guys are gone. And then I get my Oliphant back. And then if you happen to deal with this, then we're set. Okay, so he's going to force. Yeah, he wants to keep it. Yeah. Also, it makes Alfredo's life still higher, so he didn't lose that 2 life.
Also true. Yes. But the fun shadow math. Thoughtseize hurts both of us.
Yeah. Okay. So he's drawing a Misty for turn here. He can hard cast Endurance now. Yeah, but now it makes it more difficult because now Alfredo has, and this is where the replacement vets would have been relevant previously. Is the force of negation is now under Douthie.
Yes,
so that
absolutely.
he now has access to a force of negation. So cascading into that is going to be real awkward.
Yeah, and then I believe Alfredo still has one of the undying effects. I think he's had a not dead after all in his hand this whole
it's like
game.
the beginning.
So he can use that on his Douthie,
Mhm.
sacrifice it, counterspell something, and still have it in play,
Yeah.
but bigger, to hit whatever else comes down. Or to grab whatever else that would help him through this
Yeah.
point.
Okay. Looks like in here, he's got some options. I mean, really, it's just kind of like just hang out and I guess play endurance for little value, just as like a creature.
You know, just block the shadow, save some life. And,
Yeah. Try to wait to draw an answer to Douthie. Okay, he's gonna Charlotte's Agent now. Maybe he's thinking the blocks with the Douthie. Okay, he's gonna not dead after all the Douthie.
right with another Douthie board.
Definitely awkward. I mean, Nick can still snipe the Douthie out from this not dead after all with the endurance. Because it looks like Nick is just trying to get the Douthie off the board. So he's just gonna cascade into Living End just to get rid of it, but Alfredo wants to keep it. We're going down. It's in there somewhere. There it is. Takes a little bit of time to get there sometimes. It's over Apple's library. That's great.
Yeah, Alfredo sacrificing Douthie, attempting to cast Nick's Living End right now.
Yeah. We're gonna see. Yeah, he's probably fine with this happening, and then, oh, he's just gonna force of negation it instead. And then now,
So Nick still does have that window right now.
Yes.
Not dead after all trigger on the stack to invoke that endurance.
yes, which might be good here. I mean, obviously we know that Alfredo has another Douthie in hand, which is for the benefit, but he's just gonna let it happen. Okie doke.
Yeah, Force will come back in under with the void counter.
Try to figure everything out. Letting them work through it. Yeah, I mean, I think still trying to get rid of the Douthie, because then, like, even with you sitting on Charlotte's Agent plus endurance in the yard, and then, I mean, your entire deck just cycles itself, so being
Nick
able to
would
try
also
that-
have a window to cycle that Oliphant in hand too.
Yes.
So
yeah.
he could set up for a future Living End. as well.
Yes. Yeah, which would be very, very nice.
Looks like
Yeah, because it would be essentially like next turn. So I mean, like endurencing here, getting rid of the yard with the Douthie trying to come back, and then
it looks like they've rewound a little bit.
Yeah.
And trying to get a clearer communication of what's going on the stack.
yeah. Your second Douthie is a cost to target that, and then
Yes, the Douthie trigger or the not dead after all trigger to bring back the Douthie should
Yeah.
be
on the stack.
on the stack to resolve before that force negation.
Yes, yeah, because you have to target a spell with it. Yeah, because I think Nick is probably thinking about the endurance here, so he's trying to like set everything up correctly and in the way. So we'll see if they can get this set up and figured out for us. But then Nick will have a bunch of live draws for a couple of turns here.
Yes.
He'll have Oliphant plus endurance plus Charlotte's Agent in the graveyard. Well, I guess not Charlotte's Agent at this point because the force of negation. But he had Oliphant plus endurance in the yard to be able to bring back with any future Cascader.
And also get rid of Alfredo's Death Shadow. Which
And
is
get rid of his Death Shadow.
big at this point
Yeah.
in the game.
I mean, big as a 4/4, so.
When there's no other blockers that have been in play, 4 damage a turn will end this fast.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, you have 0 creatures? Sweet.
I think we've both been playing long enough to know how fast a Snapcaster Mage is a 2-1 kills you.
Yes,
So,
that is true.
4 goes faster.
Yep. Twice as fast. All right.
Billy.
All right. Trying to decide some stuff here, get everything situated for us. Thanks for being patient with us. Magic is a hard game. Sometimes it's difficult to know how cards work, so it's like we got one of those situations where everything's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, especially so at this, when you're playing at competitive rules level, where like the little things matter and the timing is important, and you can't just say like, oh, okay, yeah. Typically, I guess you're not going to just sort of both admit like we know what's going on, we know what's going to happen. We'll just go this way.
He's looking at Twitch.
I think he's got our stream up right.
Yeah. Howdy.
He's sharing it with the
Hold on.
friends. He's
Yeah.
on stream.
Have to hold off on talking about the game. We want to give any inside information.
Absolutely.
Don't know what's going on.
I'm assuming that we're in the middle of a judge call, and there's probably
Yeah.
judges speaking right now, just to confirm with the rules and make sure players understand what's going on, and
Yeah.
they know how to explain it properly.
Yeah. Everybody, we can see that TCS Rockets logo right there. Yeah. Represent.
As Zach was mentioning earlier before coming into this round, this is round 4. We currently have 5 players, Nick being one of them, that are 3-0. So the winners of those matches would be able to draw round 5 and lock in a spot in the top 8.
Yeah.
Because of that, they'll be able to get a break and then either choose to play for seeding or draw depending on their opponents.
Yeah. What is he messaging chat?
I believe he's got a group chat up right now.
Oh, what's going on here? Now maybe a outside opinion and getting the head judge. Our wonderful head judge chair. Probably maybe an answer in another call here. She gives a little bit of time too. Get to look at all these sweet magic cards.
Looks like we're back with the ruling.
Okay.
Doffy's in the graveyard, not dead after all is on the stack.
Okay. So that is resolved. He's cycling Oliphant in response to the trigger. Yes.
It looks like we're
Reverse
both
trigger.
going back through this just to verify.
He's not doing in response to not dead after all. I mean, I think maybe he's just putting the not dead after all to represent the trigger of Douthie Voidwalker being in the graveyard and attempting to come back from not dead after all.
Yeah, just sort of trying to help visualize the stack for the players to show
Yeah.
them like this is how this is going to resolve through. Magic on its own is a tough game, and then when you're playing in a format that's as powerful as Modern, and then dealing with things like replacement effects and casting an opponent's spells and sacrifice triggers and things along those lines, there's lots of little intricacies in the rules, and things with the specific timings do matter.
Yeah, very important. All right.
So Nick's cycling that Oliphant for a Thundering Falls.
And then now that is resolving. And it is bringing back. Okay.
Delphi Voidwalker back in play. Force of Negation should be exiling that living end.
What is going on here? So this is, yeah, from that. The Delphi does come back before the Force of Negation.
You go like this.
What is going on here?
Looks like stepping back a bit again.
Yeah.
And
I think maybe that's where kind
evoking
of
that
the root
endurance.
of all of this
I think so.
came
It's like Nick
from.
knew what he wanted to do
Yeah.
and trying to make sure
Making sure it's correct.
find that
and-
window where he could do it, and if
Yeah.
there was that window.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're thinking here is like, okay.
Endurance evoke trigger goes back into Nick's graveyard. That living end should be an exile off of that Force of Negation. But other than that, things look like they've resolved how they're supposed to at this point.
Yes. All right. now we're,
So
now we're
Alfredo,
cooking.
Alfredo with an Inti and a Delphi Voidwalker in hand. Nick with just a Thundering Falls in hand. It's the blue-red Surveil land.
Yeah.
Delphi Voidwalker.
Ah!
back in play.
So much effort. Exile with Delphi.
Yeah, walking with a Shardless Agent, which should be put in exile with a Void counter on it. Another land, I'm gonna Hedge Maze,
Yeah.
leaving on top with a Surveil. Nick with the drawn bolt for lethal if you cast it.
Oof.
There
All
it
right.
is.
There we go. All right. All of that turned into, oh, my God, this guy, let's kill you, I guess.
Just how it is.
Yeah.
The living in matchup.
Yeah. You wanna know what the best part about that bolt is, too? If he bolts either players, he still wins.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. More Death Shadow. Man.
Yeah. I'll bolt myself, add 3 power to Death Shadow, attack you lethal. Alright, so going into what you did, man, it's been so long.
We're going to game 3 right
Loading in 3. Oh yeah, Nick went off with all the creatures there. lot of stuff going on there. So I don't think sideboards really changed too much. I don't really see either of these players taking out any of the cards.
There's a chance Nick makes some swaps after seeing that Alfredo is on a Death Shadow package and isn't
Yeah.
just Scam.
True.
I don't know what his if there's anything Living End would have or do that would really adjust for that.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have much. I mean, Raisin Bar probably already came in. Bone Crusher, not really. Dampening Matrix doesn't do much. The Endurances don't do much. Disputes, Counterspells, Force of Vigor. Maybe he's rethinking the Force of Vigors. I don't know. I think that's also still fine to leave Force of Vigors in.
Yeah.
Just because of the ley lines that Alfredo definitely brings in and leaves in, and then as well as the Chalice of the Voids that he definitely brings in and leaves in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so totally, completely reasonable. It's a nice clean answer to both of those. So looks like not any changes. We're just going straight into the next game. I'm going to see how this goes. So Nick,
Living in a deck
play?
that I think I would say gets a bad rap for being like, an easy deck to play, which absolutely can be true in
Yeah.
a lot of game ones where you Dothy their answer, or sorry, Grief their answer, cycle 3 times, cast Living End, and
Yep.
kill them the next turn.
yeah, and then they die.
But like post board, you're navigating. I think Alfredo's got 4 or 5 different pieces of hate for what Nick's trying to do.
Yeah.
So you're trying to execute your Living End game plan while removing Alfredo's hate.
Yeah,
So
it's like, oh. All right, so let's see. Alfredo's got Ragavan. He's got Leyline. Mixing on Force, Breeding Pool, Otawara, Generous
Violent
End,
Outburst.
Violent Outburst, Architects, and a Street Wraith. And Alfredo
See Ragavan.
Ragavan, he has a Street Wraith in there as well. And then double Street Wraith looks like. I think that's the other black cards. Yeah, that's the other
Verdant
Street Wraith.
Catacombs.
Verdant, and then
Polluted Delta, and
another fetch.
another land there.
All right.
Alfredo with 3 lands.
Yeah. I think that's totally fine here. I mean, he'll be able to Ragavan turn 1, plus he'll have double Street Wraith up, which is also just really great into this matchup, just getting 2 creatures into the graveyard.
Even if if Nick can get rid of the ley line and cast Living End, Alfredo still has creatures.
Yeah. He's gonna draw
There we go.
3, right?
Alfredo's starting at 14 before
Yeah.
playing a land.
Nick very jealous at this point, like, oh, you have 3 creatures in your graveyard? I thought I was a living end deck. you haven't even...
Wait,
Fourth Street
number
Rate?
4.
What the heck? What's going on here? Oh my gosh. And then a Thoughtseize. This just has to be like the Dream Shadow.
I think
One,
Alfredo's going to start this game at 7 on turn 1.
Yeah. Quadruple Street Wraith plus Fetch Shock into Thoughtseize.
Yeah.
That's just like the best, right? Like, you just can't ask for more. I mean, I guess the next thing would be to go next turn land and then go Shadow. Right.
Alfredo needs a Death Shadow to really do anything with this.
Yeah, the dream Shadow hand with no shadow. Nick's like, wait a minute, I looked away and there was 4 Street Rates.
7.
It's the Thoughtseize. Oh my god.
At 9.
It's so funny.
Into 7.
Okay, well, you can't take these. And you can take a gander at these other magic cards that I have in my hand.
Generous Saint, Street Wraith, Architects, or Violent.
I think playing Misty here might have been better, because this leaves the option still for Nick to cycle, but then also if he wants to Architects roll.
Or even just turn fetch, get a Surveil land, and just see what's next there.
Yeah.
You can surveil a creature into the graveyard and you're still good to go.
Yeah.
At that point. Well, I guess into exile.
Yeah, after leaving.
Still.
Yeah.
Too bad. Really glad you know.
Alright, so he's gonna get a Surveil land here, just natty. We'll see. I mean, so now it's kind of like playing the waiting game and see if Alfredo can just roll out a bunch of Death Shadows.
Yep.
Right
Right now, Alfredo with 4 lands and a Ragavan in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's gonna do this.
Alright, draw for turn. Force of Vigor. That is great for Nick here. Hopefully, I'm sure he's probably thinking, man, please don't play a Delphi next turn.
Also, doesn't have the green card either, so he's still...
Oh yeah, you're right, he doesn't.
Right now.
No. Not yet.
So reconfirming Alfredo's life, counting the Street Race in the graveyard.
Yeah, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
So,
Right?
Should be 13 there.
13?
4
Street
Street Race and a Thoughtseize for 10 damage and fetch Shock down to 7.
Yeah. That's reasonable.
It's just a wild turn.
Yeah. So we're going to 6.
6.
It's going to dash Ragavan. Unfortunately, no subtlety for Nick to subtlety that bad boy away. Just going to get a swamp here. Yeah, as much as you want your life total to be low, you don't want to just lose.
Just die if your opponent casts a Shardless Agent next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, also just like casting like Endurance into just hard cast subtlety as a 3/3 flyer, and then you're like, I gotta erase this, and I have like 2 turns. So Nick fetch in here. Still at a pretty healthy life total, so he's still got a pretty decent amount of time. I'm sure he is very excited about not being hit with the turn 2 Dalthy again.
Yes, it has to be.
Yeah, so.
Nick doesn't know it, but he definitely has time right now. Alfredo's clock is just the Ragavan. There's nothing else in hand.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of waiting for either player to draw more action at this point.
Yeah, just draw something. All right, thinking, what do you got on top here? Oh, okay. I think it's a green card.
He's got the Ragavan trigger. So I think Nick's intentionally setting it up with Ragavan to get the card out of the way.
Force negation. Okay, this is gonna pass. Draw a Curator Mystery.
That's castable next turn.
That is castable next turn.
And blocks Ragavan.
Yeah, it also blocks Ragavan. You'll probably see Surveil Land here. Yeah, he will be able to hardcast Force Negation, Force of Vigor next turn as well.
Yes, true.
Okay, see Surveil. Checking the hand. Do I like this? Do I don't like it? What are we doing?
Going through the Ragavan mind games right now.
Yeah.
Do I leave it on top because I know he's going to attack me?
Mm-hmm.
Or will Alfredo not attack knowing that Nick left something bad on top?
Yeah. And what's kind of funny too is even just playing Curator Mysteries next turn is going to be quite a clock because Alfredo probably sides out a pretty good amount of his removal, and then like Alfredo just has no way of killing this 4/4 flyer, and then just kills him in 2 turns. Such a weird happenstance. Okay, so there's an endurance.
Cycling the Street Wraith to pick up the endurance.
Solid.
Alfredo grabbing that second treasure. We know he has lands in hand. Also drew a Dauthi for turn.
Yeah.
Nick is not going to be happy to see.
No. I still think this is, ironically, a good position for Nick. Because even if he doesn't want to go play his Otawara next turn into the Curator of Mysteries, he can also just not play a land and then play Endurance at the end of turn.
Yes.
And then he has a 3/4, which is also just a clock. Like 2 hits from Endurance and he's dead.
Yeah, that's game.
Yeah, he's got to have answers for it. And he's only blocking with the Ragavan at this point since Dauthi has Shadow. So it's like he essentially has one creature that he can work with.
And then Nick will also have control over what's going into the exile with a void counter on it.
Yes.
Which, again, still would have control due to that replacement effect we discussed before. But we'll see if it comes to that. Nick might choose to Force of Vigor to get rid of that Leyline of the Void.
And then he just has the Dauthi. I mean, the land draw here would also be very nice to be able to Otawara the Dauthi.
Yes.
Like just end step Otawara, untap. I can just cycle a bunch of stuff and then hopefully draw a Cascade. Just thinking here, he's got some good options. He's probably responding to Dauthi on the stack. Yeah, I don't think they're aware of the conflicting replacement effects ruling. It is a very odd ruling that does not show up very often. So we're thinking about cycling here. I mean, just cycling for value and just trying to push through.
Yeah, so Nick would have the option to Force of Vigor the ley line. Cycling our decks.
That is a subtlety. I don't believe he has another blue card, right?
He's the
He
Curator.
is a Curator. Pitching Curator feels really awkward here because he can. Then it doesn't really do much. Then he'll have an endurance and a subtlety. If he goes with he wouldn't even have that. He would just have subtlety because he could subtlety this. Subtlety would go to the yard, and then he could force a negation. Nah, he's just gonna let it resolve. I think he's on the game plan of I'm gonna play creatures and I'm gonna attack you with them.
Yeah, the second Curator.
Yeah.
I think he's very solidly in that camp.
Yeah. You just play it. Oh, okay.
Also,
He's
pass,
thinking
play subtlety. It's going to be
Yeah.
the same thing, just at instant speed.
Yeah.
Alfredo drawing a Bowmasters here.
Yeah. Probably gonna dash Ragavan.
Get him for 5, put Nick to 10.
Yeah. Maybe he just wants a subtlety Ragavan.
Where's the Ryo? Oh, there
Yeah.
it
He's
is.
gonna
Yeah.
subtlety Ragavan. Yep. Gonna put it on the top, maybe. Thinking, do I want this for next turn?
Always the question with subtlety is there's
Yeah.
there's better stuff in the deck,
Yeah.
but the Ragavan's also not that bad.
Yeah. He's thinking.
Taking his time to think, which is good because I think Alfredo recognizes that this is a tight moment,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
his
yeah.
choice will have some big effects on what's going on.
Yeah, especially since 2 subtlety hits kill him. So it's
Yes.
kind of like, do I want to... Okay, so he's going to start with fetching, which I think is good here. It's definitely good to not have the option. Because if you just let it on top, then you just don't have the option. It just gets shuffled into your deck. Like
Did Nick not decline to use a subtlety trigger just to block the Ragavan? The
I mean,
Ragavan's turned sideways now.
no, because it was on the stack, I believe. Because that's why he's fetching in response, I'm pretty sure. Because he went to go put it on top. Because he flashed in subtlety when he cast Ragavan, like before he had turned it sideways. So I would presume that Alfredo would not just play dash Ragavan and then attack into subtlety.
Yes.
Yeah. Plus you want to like use up your subtlety for at least a little bit of value. At least get something. Because I mean I think this also is a better spot for him
Yes, right.
since so he's gonna keep it. because he makes him either keep it or get rid of it, so it's essentially the same as blocking,
Yes.
but makes his opponent have the choice. So, Dalfi swinging in.
And for 3, Nick down to 12.
Well, Fredo's going to 5-2, so not really a different clock. Always good to know, that's a 3-3, so it doesn't really change anything if it's a 5 or 6 or 4. So still 2 attacks.
Fredo firing off the main phase Bowmasters.
Let's get that in there now. So while Nick is tapped out and doesn't have anything else.
Violent Burst, which actually is relevant just as the spell itself, not the Cascade spell here.
Yeah.
And depending on blockers or removal, like it could potentially put Nick in an area to push through with a 3-3 if Albedo catches the game or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think just jamming your dude here and then...
At this point, probably.
Yeah,
Alfredo's
just leaving
at 5
endurance for value, I guess.
Alfredo's at 5 and just cast a Bowmaster's main phase.
Yeah.
I feel like Nick would expect... It's reasonable to think there's not much going on in Alfredo's hand at this point.
Oh, yeah. Okay, he's kind of also mathing up here, so 5. So I'm going to put Nick's at 6. Yeah, it's also the minor thing of, like, when you're casting stuff main phase, sometimes you're just like, all right, the ball's in your court, figure it out.
Yeah,
I don't want to figure this out.
Do it.
Yeah, yeah. This is on you. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Yeah, I mean, he could also just, like, also play Curator this turn. No, he just wants to get it good. Okay. Yeah, that's totally reasonable. I mean, because you could also play Curator and then just pass, and then you have 2 blockers just in case something weird happens. No, he is just going to pass turn.
I guess if Alfredo swings out,
He's going to dash the Ragged.
Nick can cast the Endurance, which gives that enough. I guess Subtlety alone is lethal. Endurance is
Yeah.
insurance here.
Yeah.
There's the Endurance.
Okay. He's going to endurance you, sure. Get rid of those extra dudes in the yard.
Yeah, I'm starting to fade.
Blocking the Ragavan.
Yeah,
I mean, that seems totally fine here, right? Because they'll take 5. Because, I mean, there's an argument for blocking the token. You stave off, you take 1 more damage, but then Alfredo has 0 creature cards in his graveyard. So, in case something really weird happens and he goes, like, land, bolt you, or bolt. I guess if he bolt, he would be dead, but, like, fatal push plus bolt. Oh, he's sitting on 2 verdicts, though, so I think this is probably going to be game over. It just attacks. I think Nick's just trying to get a little bit of extra value. No, just going to go turn.
Tapping.
Yeah. Draw. Zombie ground. Swing out. Yeah. It's always funny to see it from this side because, we know that up there.
It's open. Just turn it sideways. Go.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has 2 fetch edge, but it's sitting there. It's like Nick's sitting. Man, what does he have? He's sitting on like.
Yeah, he's got 2 things. Got 2 mana up. Was thinking on his turn.
Yeah. Like, what's going on?
What am I playing around here?
Yeah, he just swung out. Like, oh man. Well, good games. Fortunate draws for both players on multiple games. Kind of interesting. We didn't really see a whole lot of the thing happening. Nick's
a lot of some strange living in games post.
Yeah.
But kind of just how it goes with that deck sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, I guess I'll play dudes and turn them sideways. And then Alfredo getting to do the absolute sickest Death Shadow turn 1 ever.
I don't know if I've ever seen Death Shadow in Modern go to 7 on turn.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane. Like, quadruple street wraith is just, wow. Like, how often do you get to do that or see that? I mean, I would just keep it just to do that because that sounds like a blast.
Yes, and you did it on camera too, so
yeah. The world, you can clip it. You'll be able to clip it and have it forever. It'll be great. All
right, thanks for hanging with us, everyone. For that was round 4. We got 2 more going for Swiss, and then we'll have a cut to top 8.
Yeah, we'll see you in just a bit.